are live. We are live here from the Upper East Side. Me and Jack Skellington here from everybody's favorite Halloweenist movie, Nightmare Before Halloweenist. So yeah, I thought that'd be a good little treat for everybody. Start with crazy, man, crazy. I mean, the Upper East Side's still a magical place, I guess. Look at this house. Looks like a fucking condominium / castle. Alright, well, yeah, so they've got some Halloween decorations out here, as you can see. These people got a kind of a insect problem. Alright, welcome everybody. It's election coverage, 24/7 election coverage live from Manhattan, New York City, everybody. We're on the streets. We are doing the hard-hitting reporting for you, bringing you the best of the best of the best. Political commentary, punditry, stand-up comedy, poetry lecturing, astrology, ASMR, cooking show, cooking videos, cooking tips, movie criticism, film reviews, letterboxed, transcriptions. Maybe I should just rip. Maybe I'll go 2nd Avenue just a bit. I love 2nd Avenue so much, of course, from the titular. Maybe we should rewatch Prisoner of 2nd Avenue with Jack Lemmon. I was barely paying attention, but it's a comfort watch. It's got a lot of nice videography of 2nd Avenue. Of course, of the Frank O'Hara poem. Oh, look at this, everybody. Look at that lighting up there. It's a nice angle on all those buildings. Alright, well, I have no idea what we're going to talk about because this is a bonus episode. I was on last night. I'm trying to get my audience back. I stopped live streaming for a week. See, the thing is, if you create this rhythm and you create this commitment and then you break the commitment, it kind of breaks the spell, the hypnosis, and the trust with your viewer, with your audience. So, one thing I stopped doing, like on the Instagram, I post these Instagram stories every day just to kind of keep it alive about sign up for next week. And I generally, it's also a place for me to kind of like make jokes or cultural commentary or, like, okay, the big news, right? This Liam Payne, I think is his name, right? The guy from One Direction. Did he jump or did he fall? We're not really sure. But he died because he fell off the 3rd floor of a hotel in Buenos Aires, I guess. Which I think I saw a video about. It's supposed to be a nice city. It's supposed to be like the most European, Latin American city. Because the people that built it, I guess, were all expat Europeans. Probably former Nazis or whatever. JK. Who knows? We're at Lenox Hill Station, post office, doing us proud, doing us well. Vote for Kamala, or we may not have a post office. Lovely goddamn post office. New York has such nice, particularly Manhattan, it's got these great post offices. Because they're all old. They were built, I don't know, 150 years ago. Yeah, so I post these fucking Instagram stories every day. So the One Direction guy died, right? Apparently he had been fired by his record company. His record company dropped him. They found a bunch of, I don't know, it kind of looked like a setup. They found a bunch of fucking powder. The TV in his room was smashed. I think he had 2 chicks with him. I mean, he's in One Direction, for Christ's sake. Why would that guy kill himself? You know, it's like that guy's life has got to be pretty good. He's in fucking One Direction. Sitting there by himself. It sucks, man. It sucks that guy wasted his life, because, you know, I don't know. It'd be probably be pretty cool to have been in One Direction. You're set for life. Oh, this is United Jerusalem Way, East 70th Street. We got the new Target here, as you can see. Manhattan loves Target. Well, I mean, there's just so much crazy shit going on in the record industry right now with Diddy and fucking people getting busted, and it's kind of nuts. This fucking guy just jumped up his fucking balcony or whatever. But I get it. You're in One Direction. It sucks. It's a prison. You're stuck in this prison your whole life. He's focusing, you know, is he going to be JC Chazé? Is he going to be Joey Fatone? Is he going to be Lance Bass? I mean, none of the other NSYNC guys have really had a great... We all know who fucking Justin Timberlake is. Harry Styles was the one that kind of jettisoned his former dudes and was like, fuck off. I don't need you losers. The boy band shit is over. It's me now. Me. So we're stuck with Harry Styles. He's the Gen Z fucking Timberlake. Timberlake sucked too. We're stuck with his ass. You know, it's just like the prefab. Yeah, so anyway, I had a fucking Instagram story about the guy. Because I don't know. To me, it's like the open mic being every week. It's our chance to comment on what's happening culturally, and that's what keeps it fresh. I guess. I don't know. I mean, you know, like the model being these fucking TV shows, late night shows, Saturday Night Live shows. I saw this video. It was pretty interesting. It was 1 second from every episode of Saturday Night Live ever. You know, so it's like one of those time-lapse videos almost. Got some nice little cafes here. Corrado. Bread and pastry. That looks pretty good. That's right, I'm a travel streamer, okay, guys? Giving you my recommendation. Upper East Side, you got to go to Corrado. They got this cute little, check this out, Creel and So. You can come in, they got some kind of, they got a wicker motorcycle, guys. Isn't that cute? It's Martha Stewart living. It's Porter Brooks. Go do yourself a favor and watch Porter Brooks, the cooking show I worked on. Urban Bite. Ooh, that's kind of fucked up. What is that? Is that Epstein's house right there? Is that Epstein's townhouse right there? We're in Epstein country here, by the way. Somehow I always end up on this fucking street. Ooh, check out these big fucking skulls. Bam. Those pumpkins and shit. It's pretty metal right there, guys. That looks like fucking Spinal Tap. Stage fucking setup. Their stage rig for the Smell the Glove tour. This guy over here is wearing a fucking bow tie. I mean, the Upper East Side is Upper East Siding today, everybody. It's peak Upper East Side. I feel like I'm in a fucking New Yorker magazine cover. Here we are on Park Avenue, everybody. We finally made it on Park Avenue, like fucking Green Acres. Green Eggs and Ham. Check this shit out, guys. Look at this. Most expensive zip code, one of them. Oh, where are we? Is this the Asia Society Museum? I've been meaning to go to the, supposedly the Museum of the City of New York is like super dope and like slept on. So I've been meaning to get to the Museum of the City of New York. It's pay what you want. If you're a New York resident, it's pay what you want. Ah, that's better. Look at that shit. Look at that nice. I don't know. Maybe I should just go around the Upper East Side looking at the fucking Halloween decorations. They got some nice stuff. All right, I'm gonna pull a jaywalker right here. I'm jaywalking on Park Avenue, everybody. That's the title of my memoir. My acting memoir. A life on Broadway and Hollywood and beyond. Jaywalking on Park Avenue. By Alan Alda. Shit. Well, what else? What do we need to talk about today, everybody? You know, there's poetry, there's comedy, there's music, there's nature, there's life. There's walking around. That's important. You know, okay, so I saw this video of Paul Thomas Anderson talking about screenwriting. How a lot of times his writing time, you know, a lot of his stuff, he's like does research, right? Like There Will Be Blood. It's historical, so he's reading all these books. So it's like, you know, that's something McKee said. And the McKee storybook is like, you know, writing is almost like half, or it's at least 1/3 research. You know, it's like you need to fill the tank, right? You need to fill the tank somehow so you have things to say. And that's why I watch TikTok. So I can regurgitate TikTok micro content. Look at that. Isn't that fucking nice? Jesus Christ. The Upper East Side's really, they know what they're doing up here. No wonder Epstein fucking did all of his pervert shit here. JK, all right? JK. The Clintons and George Soros and the Woodman. Here we are on Madison Avenue, everybody. Madison Avenue. Isn't it the Real right there? It's a thrift store. They call it the Real. I think I've been in there. It was expensive. It was not cheap. It was real expensive. Let's just say that. I mean, you just cannot beat the Upper East Side, everybody. It's slept on, I think. But, you know, I do this walk. I've done it a few times, I guess, on my live streams. You know, this is familiar to the dedicated fans, for the people who have been with us, for the hardcore scenes from the life. B-roll. Look at that. That's some nice smoke we're getting there. Out of this fucking, orange tubes there. Look at that. I mean, it is just such a nice day today. It's just like 9/11. Oh, this is nice. This is like a big butterfly right here. Okay, that's very Instagrammable. Yeah, so you got to fill the tank, everybody. You got to do research. You got to read. You know? So you can plagiarize things. So you have things to fucking plagiarize. And it's just a big... I mean, okay, is plagiarism legitimate? Is it appropriation? You know, I think part of the conversation that we're sort of denying is like art is copying. It's imitation, it's blending, because you imitate something, you can kind of make it your own, or you take a little bit from this, you take it, you know, it's almost like the more you plagiarize, the better you are, because you're plagiarizing a lot of different things to the point that people don't even notice. I mean, with the New York School, they literally take things. That was like a big kind of shock to me, is like, you know, a lot of Ted Berrigan's writing, he didn't write it. It's all shit that literal text that he took from Ron Padgett's notebook or a Joe Brainerd letter, or, you know, whatever it is. It's ready-made in a certain way. You know, that's part of the thing about surrealism and Dada and this and that, is like, they kind of fucking made those breakthroughs so you can just, you know, like, I mean, we are living in like the Warhol age where it's like, it is just about the signature of the fucking artist. It doesn't even, you know, just do a Brillo box or take some fucking image from, you know, a movie and have one of your assistants fucking silk screen it or something. And it's like, bam, there's your fucking Warhol. Is this a museum in the city of New York? Or is this a Frick? Let's put some fucking scaffolding on it. How about it? Let's take this beautiful building. Let's take the Guggenheim and just put fucking scaffolding all around it so you can't even see what the fuck it is. I'm sick of all this prudish scaffolding in this fucking city. They need to disrobe these buildings. Let the buildings be naked, for Christ's sake. What is this? The Frick. It's the Frick, everybody. What the frick are they doing with the Frick? Let me see if I can get across this fucking street before I die. So you gotta refill the tank so you can plagiarize. Or like AI, right? That's all AI is. It's just plagiarism. It's just like this. That's what it is. It's like, we'll take everything and we'll just blend it all together, and the computer will sort of make something new out of it, but it's really just, I mean, is that what culture is? Is that what people do? You know, is there originality, or is it just like, I was trying to imitate this thing, I failed, the anxiety of influence type shit? Not that I give a fuck about that theory. I don't think poetry is just, but, you know, like, are we just, you know, how do we find our original voice? Or are we just a conglomeration of influences? Or is that not make you legitimate? If you're just copying somebody else's fucking cadence or tonality. I mean, a lot of us, comedians, whatever, even with films, right? You can see like, oh, they were trying to imitate this movie. Tarantino trying to imitate fucking Straight Time.
When you know deep inside that I really do, and it's me you need to show.
You know, everything.
How deep is your love?
But I mean, can you even get away from your influences? Are you gonna be like inevitably, even if you you know, haven't listened to them in years and years and years, it's like maybe that one experience gave you the kernel of kind of your whole technique or your whole strategy about how to write poetry. Is it smart of us to know what the hell we're imitating, what our influences are, what we're copying? I mean, for me, I feel like there's so many different things that I've read at this point that I don't know that I would point to like a few things. There's different influences that pop up in different places, I guess. Writing imitation of a certain person at a certain point in the text. But overall, it's like, I don't know, at a certain point, poetry, maybe especially, I don't know, maybe every art form, when you get into it enough, maybe just becomes like, oh, we wanted to imitate a little bit of this and a little bit of this. You know, Tom Petty said he wanted the guitars of the Byrds with the power of the Rolling Stones. That was like his idea for his fucking band. And it's like, is it that simple? It's like, oh, okay, these guys are, you know, with the Beatles, it's like you can see they learned everything. They learned every kind of fucking music. They played a lot of different styles. They played cover songs, whatever the hell it was, ballads, rock and roll, Phil Spector, girl group stuff, country. And then when they did their own original stuff, I don't know, it sort of came out as an interesting stew of all that stuff. But it's like you can be influenced. You know, this is a way of filling the tank for me. Walking around, looking, people watching. That's why New York is so great and so essential, because it's like there's so much incident everywhere you look. You know, there's some kind of interesting, if not narrative, you know, curiosity, something that piques your, something that could reveal a bigger story. Interesting people from all over the world, street theater. Right now it's autumn, right? So it's like these leaves are kind of peak. This weekend, next weekend, probably the next few weekends are going to be like, it's important to me as a human being and as an artist to be in touch with this kind of shit. The fact that there was a hunter moon last night, what does it mean? What does it do? The planet's moving around. The leaves changing. It's a mood. Autumn, you know, it's getting cooler, it's getting darker. But people are, you know, out trying to get the last. I mean, New York, this is like prime fucking time. New York is sort of meant to be like autumnal. If it, you know, otherwise it'd be California. Just be sunny all the fucking time. Or San Francisco. It's like, no, I mean, it does get dark, it does get cold. So, I don't know, I've just got an obsession with Central Park or something too, I guess. I do love the solitude and sort of the fake nature. It kind of does it for me. I don't know. I wouldn't say that I like this better, but it's like, I don't know, it's kind of exciting that it's just another neighborhood. There's this kind of fluidity with Central Park where it's like, you just kind of enter into it. But it's like it's like a simulation of nature within the city. It's like a city of nature. And it still has that, it's got this kind of flaneur quality. It feels like the 19th century in a way. Like, look at this shit. Who the fuck is this pilgrim ass motherfucker? And then all the seating. To commemorate the landing of the Pilgrim Fathers, gendered on Plymouth Rock, December 21st. Fuck, that's like the solstice, basically. Erected by the New England Society of the City of New York. Look at that gun. He's got his rifle there just in case any kind of they try to pull any shit. Don't try to pull no shit on Gator. Gator don't pull no shit. You know, a lot of this kind of comedy writing or like monologue writing, it's so immediate and it just gets lost, and the kind of television is so disposable, especially these, okay, Ashley, we'll see you in a little while. Love you too. But it's like, these guys are, you know, Carson, or I mean, even watching this Saturday Night documentary by fucking James Franco, you see the writing process. Like, these guys are in fucking offices writing. Their writing's going on fucking TV in front of millions of people. To be honest, it's not that different than a fucking poetry reading. You know, it's sort of that hasty and that, like, immediate and, like, live, and, like, that's how you're disseminating. It's like, I wrote this shit on paper. We rehearsed it a couple times. Now we're just going to go out and do it in front of people. immediately responding to whatever the fucking country is going through, presenting skits about, you know, basically what's in the fucking news, what's relevant, what's new. And, you know, I think that's a valid form of writing. You know, we have this idea that writing is like this fucking, like, it's got to go in some book and be immortal and last for 100 fucking years. And it's got to be like this slow, take a long time. But, look at that shit. Look at those leaves in the fucking water.
Also going to a family wedding in the States. And so I think
That's like fucking nice right there, man.
Well, but there's civilization.
I need a fucking gimbal or something. I need like a steady cam, you know, I need a steady cam this shit. Oh yeah, see, I mean, you know, this is free, I can sit there, it's basically like a fucking Panera. I mean, you cannot beat this scenery, and it just belongs to anybody who can get here, you know, you're in. Oh, it's nice, there's no annoying music going on today, no fucking accordion or any of that bullshit. Look at that, everybody. I mean, good God. It's like that's like a painting right there. The reflection, the kind of pointillism in the water. It's probably inspired Sondheim to do Sunday in the Park with George. Look at that, the boats. You know, this is my dopamine menu right here. Yeah, this is my fucking dopamine menu. I'm sorry, but this was where our daddy comes to relax. And to just, you know, to refill the tank. To fill the tank. You know, to just sit. Whatever happened to daydreaming, right? Just staring out the fucking window. Staring at the fucking leaves. The way the sun hits these leaves over here. In the late autumn, early autumn. I guess, mid-autumn, early mid-autumn. Look at that. That slanting light. I've always been obsessed with this kind of year, this time of year. It's kind of nostalgic. It's instantly nostalgic because you know it's something, it's ending. Your youth is ending. It's the magic hour of the year. Everything's dying. The summer's gone. No more fun. No more beach, no more sunshine, no more swimsuits, no more boats. Well, just these boats, I guess. Boats and hoes. But it's like life goes on. You're on to the next thing. You're on to another mood, another fucking tone, another fucking age.
Lucy, no. No.
Right, perfect for me, right here, bam, okay, great, I get my own little table. Maybe I'll face this way. Give you guys something exciting to look at. You're gonna be all blown out and shit, or, okay. Okay, here we are, we're ready to play speed chess, everybody. Okay, so yeah, we're filling the tank. Reading, does anybody, to me, I mean, I'm obviously an advocate, like TikTok is hyper reading. It's hyper education. Just give up. The children are learning on TikTok, okay? The school is over. It's over. These kids have brain rot. They're speaking this weird language that they've invented. It has no basis in any kind of like figurative reality. The word Ohio doesn't mean what it's supposed to mean anymore. Nobody knows what Skibbity Toilet Riz is. And I don't know. I think there's too much fucking conversation about the generations. I think we are obsessed with age. As an aging millennial, let me complain about how we're obsessed with age and you know, this is like this is one of the most annoying things about Gen Z. Is all they fucking do is like, that's all they have. Is like, we're younger than you. You're not young anymore. You're not 18 anymore. We're Gen Z. But they've kind of gotten cooked by Gen Alpha. I think Gen Alpha has kind of stolen their moment. Gen Alpha is just so fucking weird. Their slang is mutated just so much that like everybody's just like, look at these fucking Sigma GAT. What the fuck is a GAT? Is that from some stupid like YouTube video or something? I don't even know. I mean, to me, peak millennial, and I do think millennials suck. I do think millennials are hyper lame. I don't relate to them. I've always thought millennial was like super safe, and JD Vance is like Mr. Millennial, if you ask me. Like, didn't really take any risks, didn't really... Everybody was awkward, everything was like ridiculous, epic. Facebook. The computer programmers ruled the world. What's that fucking video? There's like this video that came out on like AIM. It was about like history of the world. Meh. There was like some joke. I don't know. To me, that's peak millennial. But in any case, yeah, I think there's just like too much conversation about or like, you know, it's just another way of pitting us. We've all been splintered in every fucking identity category, demographic kind of division you can imagine, and that's just the age version of that kind of hierarchy. Oh, the boomers, you know, the boomers, everybody blames the boomers for everything. Fuck the boomers. Millennials suck. Gen Z hates millennials. Anything millennials, like old and fucking... It's millennial humor. Whatever the fuck that means. Like The Office, to me, The Office, I guess, would be like peak millennial humor. With Steve Carell, the Steve Carell Office. I never watched it. But to me, like, those NBC shows kind of represent, like, I don't know, just how, like, milquetoast. Millennials just feel very milquetoast. They all feel like they're from Minnesota. Every millennial feels like some kind of, like, fixed gear riding, jorts wearing, cheese shop, like, worker. Cheese shop barista. From like St. Paul, Minnesota. And enough already, okay? Enough of this mustache thing. That was like peak millennial, where people would like, there are still people, believe it or not, out there, I think, who have handlebar mustaches tattooed on their fingers. I think that still exists because they made this choice. I do think Gangs of New York, in a weird way, or just like Daniel Day-Lewis, the Gangs of New York and There Will Be Blood had like a huge influence on like fashion and like men's style. I feel like in Williamsburg, everybody had these fucking ironic mustaches. It was all about this kind of like throwback to when men were men and like artisanal woodworking and fucking, you know, we got, you know, it's a whiskey bar, and it's like we got all these bartenders that like know everything about whiskey, and they all have fucking handlebar mustaches, and they all dress like fucking Bill the Butcher, or they act like they're fucking Daniel Plainview or something. Because we knew it was like ironic, right? We knew that all that shit had disappeared. You know, there wasn't any kind of like blue collar. So it was this kind of like ironic joke about like, geez, isn't this kind of insane? Isn't it insane that men used to be such hard asses that like, you know, they were just alcoholic, fucking could survive anything. They die when they're like 40 years old. You know, this kind of like Tammany, I don't know, this like 1800s, like boxing, bare knuckle boxing. You know, a lot of Will Ferrell. To me, Will Ferrell, I don't know, he is like some kind of, he's like fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of comedy or something. It's just like the dude has been at the top. He was at the top of comedy basically since he got on SNL through like 2010 or 15 or something. Anchorman and all that shit. And a lot of it was like parodies of masculinity and kind of like blustery machismo. I don't know. I mean, that's one reason why I think Saturday Night Live is kind of like, because a lot of the jokes are just like portraying the past against the mores of the present. Like all those Anchorman jokes are sort of about like, wow, wasn't it crazy that in the 70s they were so sexist and they got away with it and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's the whole fucking joke. It's like, wow, weren't the 70s crazy? It's like, okay. There was a lot of that kind of humor. Fucking Starsky and Hutch, fucking... I guess every generation kind of throws back its youth through the movies, through its kind of retro style. The nostalgia for things that were cool when you were like a kid. Kind of like for me, for us it was like 80s, right? Like MGMT, a lot of music was like 80s. Like Indie Sleaze, there was a lot of 80s fucking like leg warmer, headband, workout clothes, you know, tights, neon, Vice City, GTA Vice City. Tim and Eric was super 80s. Williamsburg, all that shit was like kind of 80s. And then in the 2010s, the 90s became cool somehow. Kurt Cobain, Courtney Love. Now Oasis is like cool again. Every young person like super stoked about the Oasis reunion. I mean, these, I guess, are the things that differentiate us at generations, and I guess there's definitely certain ways that like our generations are like tribal, or you know, there's shared characteristics, shared experiences that kind of shape us. We lived through the pandemic, we lived through whatever, whereas our parents, it was like Vietnam, or their values were kind of shaped by the media. You know, that's one thing I wonder. Is it just another sort of media creation? Is it something people that write for newspapers like to talk about, or Time Magazine, or, you know, like, were there really generations in the fucking 1800s, 1700s? I mean, certainly a generation is a thing. It's like anybody born within a certain period of time is like, and I guess there are definitely fucking, you know, mass events that kind of shape how many people get generated, how many people get born. Like millennials, I saw a fucking article that said millennials are the wealthiest generation now, somehow. Somehow we just ass backward and tripped into actually being the wealthiest generation now. And you know, I don't know if that's true or not, but I guess Gen Z is like smaller than millennials. Millennials, there's actually more millennials than Gen Z. But we're all just one thing, right? The human race. These divisions are illusions. We're just people. We're all in it together, right? I guess it's just one way of talking about shit and fucking defining things. It's just a way of defining things. I guess it doesn't necessarily make it true or not. Not every boomer is like some wealthy fucking person that has 2 houses and a boat and fucking 6 kids. Not every, you know, millennial is like a loser like me. You know, it's all just data, and people trying to read trends, people trying to define what's around us. But I mean, in a certain way, we're almost like self-defining now because we are the media. We're making social media. We're watching each other. You know, apparently it takes... I saw a video with the guy from... some guy from some fucking one-hit wonder band. I don't know if it was Lit or the closing. I think it was maybe the Semisonic guy. Because I saw this guy read. We did a reading about a month ago, the Boog City reading. And this fucking guy who went on before us was the drummer for the band Semisonic. He's also like a professor. He's a fucking English professor. Some goddamn place. I forget where. Bard or Sarah Lawrence or something. I don't remember. But he read some essay, you know, about being on tour or something. So he's got kind of a cool life, right? But I think he said something about how it cost them like $700,000 or $800,000 to make that a hit song. Like the record company or whoever has to pay the radio stations or whoever the fuck it is to like actually get it. And I don't know. We live in a supposed meritocracy, but how do you get seen? How do you stand out? How do you, you know, are there certain people that just have some fucking quality? I mean, what I see with the open mic is like there's a lot of fucking talented people. Then there's a handful of people that kind of have something beyond that, who are like, have something that's like special. But I don't know if I've seen any one person that I'm like, wow, this person is a fucking star. In a way that, like, I'd say there's probably been maybe half a dozen or a dozen people on the open mic that I'm like, this person has something like a little bit extra that maybe, and granted, like, you know, a lot, everybody that comes on is very talented. Then there's like a layer of people who are like really fucking talented, you know, and then there's like a handful of people that are like, have something else, either like some kind of special voice or like some kind of really interesting songwriting technique and a great voice. With poetry or writing, I guess it's the same. With poetry, it's like, it's such a fucking esoteric anti-form that like, it is kind of easy to cherry pick whoever the fuck you want, because it's like, it's kind of debatable whether, I mean, granted, there's a lot of people that are just hacks who are just like doing something that's like, I don't know. It's for a different audience, but, you know, I don't know. It's like, there's a lot of people that are really not that talented that get published and have jobs and blah, blah, blah. I mean, comedy, it seems like, Jesus Christ. There's so many people trying to do it, and they're artistic about the way that they approach it. They're serious about writing and the way they perform and whatnot, and they're talented at that. But it's also like, I haven't seen that many people that, like, I don't know, really felt even like they were vibing, like they could create hilarity. I've seen very few comedy sets that really like worked, to be honest. But there's a lot of good-looking, smart people who are doing it. You know, and they have these kind of mini fiefdoms online that they, you know, have an audience. So it's like they are successful already. You know, the kind of proof is there. They've already got what everybody's trying to get. You know, if you have tens of thousands of people following you on fucking social media, it's like you have what the TV networks are trying to get. And brands and shit, advertisers will pay you to get at your audience. Like that's really, I mean, if you want to talk about show business, like, that's what it is. At this point, it's basically impossible to make money as an artist unless you sell merch, or you have to sell something. You have to sell a physical object. You know, you got to sell shirts. Really, if you want to make it as an artist, just start selling fucking t-shirts. Because that's how anybody makes a fucking living now. Including, you know, Metallica and Bruce Springsteen or whoever. I mean, they all sold their catalogs, right? Because they could see how worthless they are. Just give me a lump sum for the whole goddamn thing, and this is never going to be valuable again. At least not in their lifetime. At least not in any kind of, like, you know, not like it was. You know, with poetry, it's like you can sell books. If you can get people to buy your book, you can become Rupi Kaur. It's like, unlike music or even movies at this point, it's like with poetry, it's like people will buy your book just because of an experience they had. They just want to have something. They want to participate in your brand, right? And they want to have like a souvenir of like whatever you made them feel, or it's an object, you know, it's like, it has to be an object. You know, and as much as I try to move poetry into this space to greater or lesser degrees of success, it really is more like this kind of personal reading experience. Silent, intimate, you know, like a YouTube video can be, it's intimate and it's personal. Or I don't know, maybe you're watching it on your fucking TV. Like a lot of people watch this on their goddamn wall TV. That's gotta be interesting. Oh yeah, the Indians or the Guardians. Okay, I did want to talk about this. The Cleveland Guardians won a game in the fucking... I think they can turn it around. I told Ashley the other day, I said, I think the Indians are going to win the World Series. I think this is their year. But then I looked today, they were down 2-0 to the Yankees. So I'm like, okay, forget that shit. They're going to fold like they always do. You know, I've been an Ohioan, you know, my whole life. I'm no dummy. I know what it's like, okay? I think this is part of the design of sports, is they want to habituate people to losing. Because the fact of the matter is, only one fucking team is going to win per year. And there's 30 goddamn markets. There's 30 teams. And so it's like 29 30ths, you know, of the country is going to be disappointed. And one place is going to be happy. And it's probably going to be the fucking Yankees. Usually. Now I live in New York, so I like the Yankees. I support it. It's capitalism, I guess. You know, it's just like the rich get richer. They're the billionaire class of baseball. You know, it's like people want to play for the best. They've got an iconic franchise, branding, the pinstripes. I do want to talk about the Yankees. I think they're like a cop metaphor. You know, it's like when I see the NYPD, I'm like, that guy could be a Yankee. They got the same kind of like cocky attitude and kind of, I don't know, like nonchalant flamboyance that like the Yankees have. And who wouldn't want to play for the Yankees, right? I mean, but my heart roots for the Cleveland Guardians. I hate the name. I don't think it works. I think it's really millennial and lame. It sounds like a Guardian Insurance. It sounds like an insurance company. Like the Cleveland Guardians. We've got your back. We're on your side. And it's like, I hate it. I hate the name. And is it racist? Because I hate to say it, but I mean, I guess that was part of the like underdog status. You know, the major league movies, you know, it really wouldn't have worked with any other team. It had to be Cleveland, the ultimate shithole. The mistake on the lake. And the Indian name and the logo was kind of part of the shame and the curse. I guess they had to change the name. But the Indians, the fact of the matter is, the Indians will never win another World Series. There was no such team. Now they're the Guardians. It's a really horrible name. To me, they'll always be the Indians, is what I'm saying. I hope that's not racist. My heart is with the Native American indigenous people. Did they complain about it? Were they upset? I want to know. Or was it a bunch of white people? Was it a bunch of white feminists? It does feel like it was part of the kind of anti-Trump correctional adjustment that the left wing, and it's like, give me a break. Come on. I mean, come on. Can we have nothing? They're still are they still the Washington Redskins? They changed that name. Didn't they change it to the Washington Generals or something? I think they did change that name. But the Chiefs are still the fucking Chiefs. I mean, Indian, I don't know. I guess it is like an outdated slur. And the logo was a little bit intense. But they kind of changed it. I mean, they changed it to like that C. You know, they really haven't used the Chief Wahoo. But as a kid, I mean, Jesus Christ, I had a lot of affection for Chief Wahoo. As a white, you know, suburban, lower middle class baseball fan. And the Indians, the 90s, they just broke your heart every fucking year. Because they were smoking good. Finally, they had not been good forever. And then the Major League movies come out, which kind of made it cool. Charlie Sheen is in it. We didn't know what Charlie Sheen was really up to at the time. Hollywood was able to keep a lid on that shit before the internet. Now it's like everybody knows Charlie Sheen's a fucking asshole, and we won't get into that, but he was, you know, the Wild Thing, Rick the Wild Thing Vaughn. He's an icon of my youth. He's a hero. And Charlie Sheen was like the Reds. He was a Reds fan. He really liked baseball. He hung out with Nails. He hung out with Lenny Dykstra and shit, the ultimate dirtbag. I mean, we loved fucking baseball as children. And I do think, like, it says something about the depravity of the American population that baseball is, like, in decline. Like, baseball is a subtle game. It takes time to appreciate it, and it's nuanced. It's not violent like every other fucking blood sport that America thirsts for, like football and MMA and pro wrestling and even tennis. It's like McEnroe's a fucking maniac. I mean, baseball, the violence is strategic. You get a guy beamed with a pitch every once in a while. That's part of the game. That's the game within the game. That's the game of honor and camaraderie and teammates standing up for each other and an eye for an eye and the code of the game. And then they'll clear the dugouts every once in a while. They clear the dugouts. And it's like, that is honorable too, I think. I'm all for clearing the dugouts. That, to me, they're like defending their teammates. I think fighting in baseball is actually like really beautiful. Unlike other sports. Like maybe hockey, I guess fighting is like brutal in hockey. You know, hockey, the guys get horribly scarred and fucked up. Baseball is like I don't know, something about it, the uniforms or something, they just don't seem that threatening. Even though they're huge guys, they don't seem scary in a way. They're just hitting a ball with a bat and running around, catching it in their little baskets. In their gay little ballet tights. Their gay little cleats on. And I don't know, the pitcher batter duel I think is amazing. And the head game of that, it's like in-ring psychology. It's like you have to be able to read what they're doing. Seeing somebody like Greg Maddux pitch, it's like the dude is just a fucking chess master. He's just outsmarting these guys. But there's a lot of ways to do it. You can be Nolan Ryan and get 5,000 fucking strikeouts just throwing your ass off. Just throwing your fucking dick off. I mean, did Nolan Ryan have a perfect game? As kids, we were obsessed with Nolan Ryan. He had literally been pitching since the 60s. The Nolan Ryan rookie card. He was a rookie on the Mets. Nolan Ryan started in the fucking Mets with Tom Seaver. There was a card, I think it had Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan on it. 69 Mets. And then he played on every goddamn team. He played on the Astros, he played on the Angels, the Rangers, of course, probably most famously, but I don't think he ever played for the Yankees. He was not a New York guy. He was probably sort of like a... He was not really... I mean, I wouldn't say he wasn't a John Rocker, but he was like probably a Bush guy. He was on the Rangers and shit. He was probably CIA. Nolan Ryan was a plan. As kids, we loved fucking Nolan Ryan. He was 45 years old, still fucking throwing gas. You get a Nolan Ryan upper deck baseball card. And so they're heroes of the game. I don't know. It's deteriorating. The audience is deteriorating. The Cleveland renamed their team. Ridiculous. To me, I'm sorry. There'll always be the Indians. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm a 20th century millennial. I'm an aging millennial, okay? I cannot unlearn. Okay, so in the 90s, right, they had Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton. This is one of the great teams of all time. They were like the farm team for the whole rest of the fucking... For all the... Sabathia started in the fucking Indians. Tomey. Kenny Lofton. Their pitching staff was insane. They had Earl Hershiser at one point. Dennis Martinez. Fucking Eddie Murray played for the goddamn Indians. So it was a unique mix of like these kind of old vets that knew the game inside and out from like the 70s. And like, just prospects that they were playing Moneyball before fucking Moneyball was a thing. They just had an eye for talent. They'd get Albert Bell, they'd get Kenny Lofton, they'd get Omar Vizquel, Robbie Alomar, Sandy Alomar. They had it all, man. I think Bartolo Colon, didn't he play for the fucking Indians? He's still playing, isn't he? See, they could pick them. They had the fucking eye. They had a really, really great eye for talent, and then the talent goes to New York or Chicago or whatever to get a bigger paycheck. As soon as they get hot, like Jim Thome goes to the White Sox, or he's got almost 600 home runs. Was he a juicer? But, so they were the best team in baseball in 1994 after like 50 years of being terrible, since like Bob Feller. The Indians had been terrible. Finally, they were good, and then they canceled the fucking season because the players went on strike. I was 9 years old. We're watching the hearings on C-SPAN, hoping that fucking they resume the season just so the Indians might make the goddamn World Series for the first time in 50 years. But they canceled the season. And then the Indians did make the World Series a couple times, and they lost both times to the Atlanta Braves. David Justice hit a fucking home run. I loved David Justice as a kid. He was my favorite player. I love Canseco. I love the A's. The A's were probably my first favorite team. Canseco, Ricky Hernandez, Dennis Eckersley. So I'm kind of getting into baseball again. I don't know. If I can watch it. I wanted to watch the game last night in a bar, but I was like, they're probably going to blow it. They always blow it. They're down 2-0. I'm like, the Indians are going to fucking blow it. I've been a Cleveland fan my whole life. I know how this works, okay? The Browns suck. The Indians suck. The Cavs. It's a miracle that LeBron was ever able to get anything done there. It really is. Like, LeBron doesn't get... to me, he's the greatest basketball player of all time for just that alone. Who else? Michael Jordan may have won 6 championships, but he didn't do it in fucking Cleveland. To me, winning 1 championship in Cleveland, that's like winning 12 championships anywhere else. It's like almost impossible. You can't. It can't be done. No one else has been able to do it in like a fucking century. So, in a way, LeBron is the greatest. You know, if you want to judge on pure shouldering, shouldering the entire fucking thing, carrying the goddamn team to victory. And the way he did it, I mean, it was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. I was at the victory parade. As an honorary Cleveland. But I think the Indians could win the World Series this year. I'm calling it right now. I think it's their year. The Cleveland Indians. I don't have any idea who plays on their team anymore. The last time I watched was 2016 when they made it to the ALCS. Or they made it to the World Series, I think, and they lost. It was a familiar taste in my mouth, okay? I recognized it from my youth, and that's when I said, they'll never, fuck it, who cares? I'm not going to get all worked up about this, okay? They're going to blow it. I remember, was Kenny Lofton on the fucking team? There was sort of like a sentimentality to the whole thing. But we know better. We know it's Cleveland. We know they're going to lose. They don't have LeBron James, okay? There's no LeBron James on the Indians. Until they generate one, until fucking the next LeBron James, until the Shohei Ohtani of Cleveland is born in like Akron, Ohio, or Kent or something. They're fucked. They're completely fucked. I don't know. I think astrologically, everything is aligned. It's, but I will say if they do win the World Series, then Trump will probably get elected. Because that's what happened in 2016. So I'm hoping that that's not what happens, but I'll be watching. One of my favorite things about New York is watching fucking baseball. Going to, or playoffs anyway. It's cool that, like, when there's a major sporting event, you can just walk all over the city and see different bars. People fucking, like, last night I walked by Woogie's Pub, and I thought about watching the game. I should have watched it, because I am interested. I am rooting for Cleveland. Like I said, I didn't think they'd get this far. I've been following it a little bit on TikTok. Apparently Bob Costas is, like, terrible. That's really what TikTok is concerned with, is what a shitty announcer Bob Costas is. He's like insanely biased toward the Yankees, to the point he was like getting audibly upset when like the Royals did anything good. He'd be like, oh, and they caught it, fuck, god damn it, see, this is what happens. It's like, did they take Bob Costas off the broadcast? I like Keith Hernandez. I hope the Mets make the fucking World Series. I like the Pix 11 team. I would watch it. Fuck yeah, I'll watch it. I'd love to see Mets Indians. I'm calling it right now. I don't think this Yankees team has what it takes to pull it out. From what I've seen, for whatever reason, I mean, although Judge did finally turn it on, like hit a home run the other day, I think he's been terrible in the playoffs throughout his career. He's like notably bad in the playoffs. But he's starting to get a little bit hot, I think. But I don't know. I don't think this team really has what it takes, to be honest. New York is not the same as it was when they won all those championships. That's when there was a lot of crime, and, the city had, like, moxie. This is not that New York. They built a new stadium. It's kind of a gentrified stadium. It's a simulacrum, It's like the Star Wars hotel of Yankee Stadium. The Mets, on the other hand, have a shitload of heart. Everybody that I know, because there's a lot of poets into baseball. I think there's a correlation between poetry and baseball. The way that it's slow, and the lines. They're all Mets fans. The poets are usually Mets fans. Because they understand what it's like to be the underdog. What it's like to be scrappy. And pull it out of nowhere. And I think it's cheaper to see the Mets. I think that's probably part of it, too. But New York is a great baseball city. I will say that. There's 2 great teams, and people actually give a fuck. You can just take the goddamn subway to the game. You know, I think that's amazing. People give a fuck. You know, people go to the games. I would go. If I had fucking tickets, I'd go. It's just another cultural, you know, display. It's just another stage. You got the Met, you got Broadway, you got Arlene's Grocery, you got Yankee Stadium. You got Pete's Candy Store, you got Freddy's, you got Young Ethel's, you got, you know, Citi Field. You got MSG, etc., etc. So, all right, maybe I'm gonna start walking across the park, I guess. Just to, before the sun goes down. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we're in the 21st century. Maybe baseball is not the event of this century, you know. Now it's all about football, UFC, you know, bread and circuses, gladiatorial combat. People want to see fucking fighting, real violence. I think baseball is kind of a metaphor for like male sexuality, because you're waiting and you're waiting, or you know, you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting for something to happen. You got this bat, you know, and you're like trying to, you know, and so, you know, you get up and you go and you go and you go, and then bam, everything happens at once. Then a lot of shit happens at once. And that's kind of how life is too. It's like it's slow, it's uneventful, hopefully. And then bam, a whole bunch of shit happens at once. And there's like an ease to it, I guess. You know, baseball, you're just standing there most of the time, or you're sitting in the fucking dugout. You know, every football, it's like they're beating the shit out of each other on every play. Every play is like this fucking skirmish where it's like they all go down, it's fucking, you're on the front lines of like this combat. It's completely like a war fucking metaphor. Baseball doesn't really feel that way. Or I don't know, it feels like some kind of more like gentlemanly type of fucking warfare. It's almost like naval, like, oh, we're gonna send this ball over the fucking wall there into the enemies. The mustaches, I mean, of course, you know, the mustaches have been a big part of baseball history. You want to talk about, you know, obsolete masculinity. And you know, in Columbus, Ohio, at the Ohio Historical Society, they have like these historical baseball guys that play like old-timey baseball, right? That's kind of like poetry. Poetry's like old-timey baseball. It's slow. They play with like this leathery ball. I don't even know if they had gloves. The ball is like kind of soft. They all look like Daniel Plainview. They're wearing these stripy fucking pirate-looking socks and shit. They all look like goddamn extras from fucking Gangs of New York. So, I don't know. This is what's going on. You know, it's the fucking playoffs. The Indians are in the hunt. They fucking won. I wish I would have watched it. If I would have watched it, I'm sure they would have lost. It's every time I start paying attention that it's like they start to blow it. And so it's just better that I just find out later. Okay, they lost again. Of course they did. I don't want to go through the heartbreak in real time. like I have so many times before. That's why I stopped watching sports. So like I'm saying, you know, with sports, it feels like they're conditioning you to be a fucking loser. You know, it's like you're going to lose most of the time. And maybe you'll win a championship every 10 or 20 years, your city, in some sport or another. I mean, how evenly distributed are the you know, like Ohio, when was the last time? I mean, the Cavs, the Indians haven't won shit. The Browns are a fucking absolute joke. They're one of the most ridiculously shitty fucking franchises in all of sports. The Bengals, I think, have been didn't they make the Super Bowl? I don't think they won, but they made the Super Bowl like once or twice recently. You know, they've been like flirting with being good, but they blew it, or they lose in the playoffs, just like the fucking Ohio teams always do. The Reds, I don't know, they won a World Series in 1990. You know, that's kind of recently for baseball. This is what I'm saying. This is the whole state of Ohio. Our hopes are resting on one of these fucking teams to, like, bring joy into our lives. The Buckeyes win, you know, every fucking 10 years or whatever, but, you know, their whole program is corrupt and fucking... They just put so much emphasis on football and sports. It's just fucking pathetic. You know, it's just in Ohio, people, their whole goddamn lives are sports. And yet the teams never win anything. It's like, you want to be unhappy? You know, in New York, it's like these fucking teams get results. They've got, I mean, people in New York have just got to have no perspective. Like, if you're a Yankees fan, you couldn't possibly understand what it's like. You just have experienced such abundance as a baseball fan. And I don't know. In Ohio, it does seem like they're conditioning, or I don't know. It feels like it's hard to get out of this conditioning where it's like, oh, we're being trained to like blow it in the, you know, in the playoffs every fucking year. You know, it's just like that's what you do. It's your destiny, right? It's your Catholic. You're meant to suffer like Christ. You're meant to work and suffer. And watch the Cleveland Indians, this fucking cursed, genocidal, white, racist. Wasn't Bob Feller racist? Isn't there fucking like footage of Bob Feller being racist? Isn't there a Bob Feller tape or something? Just kidding. Just kidding. You know, he was from fucking Iowa or something. I don't know. He grew up on a tractor. He grew up on a fucking tractor! Look at this. I mean, I did just shoot this just the other day, but here we are again, everybody. Isn't this exciting, doing this again? You know, we're creatures of habit, okay? I'm sorry. But our habits change subtly over time, you know? Who knows? It's not going to be like this forever, you know? And it changes in little gradations, maybe, but this might seem like the same thing we did last time, but it's slightly different. And that's what happens when you do something every day. by repeating, you get better, or you get, something happens. I don't know. You get deeper, you get stronger, you develop a callus of some kind. You get more, just scenery for everybody. Just some nice fucking Terrence Malick B-roll here. What kind of adventure are these people having? On their little boats. Look at those beautiful leaves. What is that one called? Duranautic 14, everybody. Duranautic 14. They have life vest on. Safety. It's important. And we have this nice tree here. Look at that. Just filling the tank, people. Just filling the tank with just imagery. This is just a nice image, you know? Who gives a damn what it means?
Ils ont habité pendant... C'est vrai. On va voter quelques jours.
Une demande en mariage.
Ils sont devenus amis avec Charles Antoinette parce qu'ils ont habité à Dakar quand on est parti. C'était un peu dans leur meilleure famille d'amis, je crois. En quelques proches de quand on était allés à Dakar. Et on les a vus aussi un peu à Paris.
I mean, it just speaks for itself, people. Just look at it. Isn't it magnificent? Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just so removed. I need to get a job. I need an income. You know, I'm just in the bad habit of just trying to experience life for as long as I can. Like, I don't know, what are we really learning out here? Just walking around, looking around. What is there really? Is it just a form of procrastination for you, work that you don't want to do? In my experience, I don't know, work doesn't always work for me. Well, part of Paul Thomas Anderson's point with his video was the actual writing doesn't take that long. If he knows what he wants the scene to be about or whatever it's supposed to be, he can actually write it pretty quickly. And I think that's one of the problems that I have, or maybe other writers have, is like, in a certain way, you don't know what to do with your time, or like you don't want to do too much or something. Like with poetry, I could sit there all fucking day, every day, and fill notebooks with, writing if I wanted to. What would I do with it? Would I publish that? Would I put it online? Would I share it? Would I or would I just be writing the same thing over and over again? Would I not be filling the tank? Would I just be kind of regurgitating the same thing, scraping the same material? together over and over again, saying the same things over and over again. Did I just say that? Maybe that's, I don't know. But then you look at somebody like Bernadette Mayer, or, you know, a lot of these people would constantly be writing, almost to the point that it's like a graphomania. It's like an addiction. I don't necessarily know that that's a bad place to train yourself to be as a writer either. I mean, if you can get into that mode where just like you're literally generating text all the time and it's good or usable, you know, if you're able to channel it into projects that sort of, you know, have a form and a structure and balance and whatnot, which is sort of what Bernadette Mayer did. You know, she wrote a lot, but she was able to channel it into these different kind of book-length experimentations, studying Hunger Journals or Piece of Cake, that book, the poetry books, different methods of doing poetry, you know, the memory thing, that was its own. You know, for me, like, I am conscientious about being a performer, and so I have to, like, bring it into this other dimension. So, to some degree, the writing, at least recently, until I can get established in some goddamn way, I just feel like I have to be able to use my writing as like a script for performance or public recitation, being on stage, and it's sort of like half pseudo comedy monologue riff, half, you know, New York school chatty, I do this, I do that, whatever, poem, mind transcription. But it's selected, it's curated, it's not just, you know, arbitrary and, you know, I won't just say anything. You know, it's just lines that I want to say. You know, John Giorno, I think, when you listen to John Giorno, it's like a lot of his poem could just be like lines from a fucking Scorsese movie. They're just like these crazy dialogue, intense, human, you know, verbal material. And, yeah, see, I think I came to all these fucking places. This is supposedly, this building on the right is some, I forget what it's called, something castle or palace, something palace. And I supposedly Seinfeld lived there. And other people, I don't remember who. So, you know, like, this for me is a way of bridging fucking performance and writing. In the same way that I write in a fucking diary or sit down to write for 2 hours or 4 hours. Boom, I'm gonna sit and just try to outrun the fucking inner censor, speak to whatever fucking, you know, kind of psychic metaphorical issues of the day. Right now it's politics, baseball, Central Park, I don't know, New York, neighborhoods. Poetry references kind of come throughout. And just whatever else sticks, whatever else feels relevant. To just discuss, I feel like, with humanity. You know, these are the things that I have observed since last we spoke that feel like they tell the big story of what's going on in small places across the world. and in my
I've never spent.
neck of the woods specifically. New York, you know, what's going on in the white hot core of the most expensive place to live. Because it's all just fucking computer programmers and
Also rapid.
consultants, analysts, people, you know, charging fees and percentages and processing fees, bank fees, monthly fees, deducting, you know, percentages, getting a little piece of a piece of a piece. It's just like Office Space, you know, they take a little, they think because they just take a little, if they take a few pennies out of every account, they get rich that way. Okay, where are we? Yeah, we'll do 2 hours here. Yeah, so it's like the writing happens fast. I mean, particularly with screenwriting or playwriting, I mean, it's like you're not even writing that much. You're writing some dialogue. Most of it is white space. I think that's one reason why I was so comfortable with poetry, or why I was drawn to poetry, because it's kind of like screenwriting in that sense, where it's about economizing, and it's like so much of the page is like white space. There's sort of like a haiku-like nature, putting things into visual images, metaphor, show don't tell, no ideas but in things, to like screenwriting Hollywood mumbo jumbo. God, one thing I wanted to do was talk about all the movies that I wrote that didn't get made, as a way of getting something out of them, just because I feel, I don't know, I'm just obsessed. Maybe this is like my midlife crisis or something. Ooh, look at that shit. There we go, baby. See that bridge back there? Yeah. That's a Timothy Chalamet fucking bridge right there. I'm just haunted by this. I know I'm haunted by all these ideas that I had when I was younger that I didn't film, you know, because I was so devoted to like filmmaking. I was writing scripts all the time, and they were all about, you know, what was going on in the world, and they were like dealing, you know, like I had this one script that I wrote. I wanted to make this movie College when I was like 18, 19, and it was just going to be vignettes from like college. And one of them was going to be about a guy, you know, it was about like student loan debts, and fucking a guy, you know, like a guy having to go away to Iraq or whatever. I don't know. There was a lot of shit like that to pay for school, right? And I don't know, just trying to find dramatic scenarios within things that you could actually film, things that were like actually in your life. You know, like at the time I was like a fucking student at OU, so it was like sort of patterned on that. We were gonna shoot it there. I don't know, it's just like with poetry, you're not really worried about like the fragmentedness of it. You know, like you can have kind of pieces of a thing and figure out how to you know, present that in a way that feels like, okay, this is like a way to use it, and it feels like a work in and of itself. But, you know, with film, it's like there's some idea that like you've got the perfect number of scenes and like the movie is like complete at a certain point, but it's like, I don't know, that feels kind of arbitrary too, to me, to be honest. Like, movies are not necessarily as, I mean, unless it's the fucking Godfather or something. It's like they're not necessarily, they don't need to be like this airtight fucking, you know, like efficiency machine. That's like, there's nothing extra. Every scene is like part of the story and tells the story and blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know. It's like grasping for pieces of time that are long gone. You know, I'm just like wishing to myself, like, why didn't I film some of this stuff? Even though I was always like, well, I need to have a completed script. Like there was this one movie I wanted to do because every director, and I was very self-conscious about this, like did a like quote unquote young lovers on the run, like young fugitive criminal, you know, like Badlands or like Breathless is kind of like that. You know, Bottle Rocket was sort of like that. It wasn't really about like lovers, but it was like they're fugitives. So I had like, you know, I don't know, 60 pages of I wanted to make a feature, you know, of the script. And it was about a guy that worked in a furniture store because my buddy's dad owned a furniture store. And, you know, he was like dating the owner of the store's daughter and he didn't like that, right? So it's like Badlands, the way that the dad like doesn't approve. And so they I forget, but they like robbed the store and run away. And there was like scenes in New York and blah, blah, blah. But there was some interesting stuff in it. You know, there was like a character who had like a cable access show and there was a lot of stuff in it that I'm like, you know, I'm kicking myself because I'm like, this would have been pretty interesting if I just filmed what I had. There were scenes in it that were like, would have been really nice images. I had a lot of, because I was more like an image. You know, I would always like think of an image and I'd try to work it into some narrative or something. And it's like, I would wait till I collected a lot of different things that I felt like I could work into some narrative or, and so I would just end up not making anything, you know, because it's like, well, it's not really, the script isn't finished. So, you know, I'm going to wait until I have the whole fucking movie written before I do any of it. It's like, you know, I kind of wish I just had those scenes filmed. Because it's like, now it's like I'm too old. You know, and my life has moved on like so much and away from then. It's like all those people that I would have put in the movies are like married or, you know, have kids or they live in different places or, you know, so it's like the world has just changed so much. That it's like, even in that sense, you know, I think that's part of like the value of film is like, you don't really understand like how well it's going to age, even from just like an anthropological point of view. It's just like, I don't know, the more footage you have of like the younger version of yourself or the younger or different eras, I don't know, a big part of film for me is time travel, going to be able to different times, see what the world has looked like. And you know, we're just now in a generation where there's just video of everything everywhere all the time. Even though there probably will be a digital precarity within that. But, you know, for people my age, it was like I had literally a VHS-C fucking like home camcorder that took these little VHS tapes that you'd have to put into like a bigger tape, and it would fucking, you know, load it into that. And it was like, you know, I was a kid, I didn't have a job. To even get these tapes was like pretty hard. So it's like we didn't really film anything that wasn't like felt like it really needed to be filmed or was going to be. And it's like at that point you didn't really understand that just like real life is interesting and just like filming real life is interesting. You know, like I wish I would have just filmed more of, you know, my family or school or whatever the fuck it was, you know. I wish I had vlogs. Start vlogging now is my advice to you. Just start vlogging now, okay? It's never too early to vlog because you're gonna want those memories. But we also live in this era of like digital precarity where it's like we don't really know how long any of this shit's gonna last. We don't know how long Instagram will last. It could just be like fucking MySpace, you know? Oh my God, here's Philip. I wonder if he's gonna, let's see if he recognizes me. What's up? How you doing? How are you? I'm live on my YouTube right now.
I thought something was
Yeah.
just like spontaneously funny, and I'm like, oh, it's Matt.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm. That's okay. I just want you. I just want it to be upfront. I'm live on my YouTube right now.
All right.
So okay. Yeah. But yeah, how are you?
Good.
I'm glad I thought, I'm happy to run into you in Central Park. You know? I thought we'd run into each other. I've been over by that pond over there for the, a couple times in the last few weeks. So I thought sooner or later, Oh, that reading, it's Sunday, right? Or,
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We will be there.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome. I'll see you there.
All right. Good to see you. All right. Have a good night. Okay. Okay, so that was Philip. We ran into Philip. I was trying to be nice. I didn't want to put the fucking camera in his face or anything. He's doing a reading on Sunday. It's his birthday reading at Unnameable. It looks pretty cool. Maybe I'll film that. That'd be a good thing to live nature videography here from the home of nature, Central Park. Maybe I'll just sit here for 1 second. All right, this is my poet's corner right here. This is where I come to read and do my recitations. Do my ModPo. This is my ongoing lecture. This is a poetry class that never ends. It's never ending. It's on YouTube. It's free on YouTube, right? Sometimes we talk about poetry, but poetry is throughout everything. But like baseball, I think that's pertinent to the fucking poetry discussion. I've got 20% battery, so I'll do a few more minutes. Politics, of course. Bruce Holiday, my man. Are you watching me on your wall TV? It's pretty exciting that I'm on a wall TV. Just like Seth Meyers. Have I complained? I want to complain, and I'm sure I've complained about this before, but I want to complain about how Seth Meyers doesn't even try on his fucking show anymore. He just wears a blue button-down shirt. It's like, dude, put a fucking tie on or a fucking blazer. It's like, at this point, he doesn't have a house band. At this point, what separates Seth Meyers from what I'm doing right here? Other than the fact that he has a studio and a studio audience. And writers and shit. It's like he dresses like he's at the fucking pitch meeting or something.
A lot of them are just individual friends that we have invited.
It's disrespectful. I don't know. I'm not a Seth Meyers, although he has some good guests. TikTok is trying to get me to like Seth Meyers. It keeps throwing him into my feed. Hey, check out what Seth Meyers did. To me, he's just the Matt Damon of comedy. He's just this blonde fucking Boston guy that fucking, I don't know. He just seems he kind of brown-nosed his way into being the host of Late Night, which was actually a cool show at one point. Not that I watch Seth Meyers at all, ever. But it's why not just turn it into some Twitch stream? Just get rid of the whole talk show conceit. Get rid of the desk, get rid of the fucking curtain, all of it. You got rid of the band. Why not just make it look like fucking a podcast? Why not just sit there in a few chairs with a microphone and headphones on? You can have an audience for that. Well, I guess the greater issue is the talk show dying? Is it dead? What is the talk show? That was just something they made up. It wasn't always like that. There wasn't always a desk and a monologue and a band and that format where it's monologue, then they settle in, then they interview actors and shit. It doesn't have to be that. It can be any goddamn thing. It can be a podcast. It can be a live stream in Central Park. I like, you know, the conceits. There's something about those conceits that like package the show into something that feels like this kind of elevated thing or something. Whereas like if it's just like, oh, I'm filming myself in my room with like a fucking microphone I got at Best Buy, it's like that feels kind of like the destruction of the hierarchy of show business. You know, people don't seem to give a fuck about the Merv Griffin set, right? It's like when Kramer had the Merv Griffin set in his living room. It's like now we all kind of have our living room is the Merv Griffin set. Everybody's like podcasting from like these totally like hybrid, like living space, just like sloppy. It almost looks like a fucking, you know, frat house or something. And so with Seth Meyers, it's like he's sort of half in and half out, where it's like he, you know, his show is sort of dressed down, literally. But it's like I think he still does a monologue, or he does this thing, day drinking. That's a real positive message. I'm sure that's one reason why he's gotten as far as he has, because he's an alcoholic, just like Jimmy Fallon. He just drank his way through the fear. And he has this segment, Day Drinking, which is sort of like, not that I watch it, it's popped up once or twice in my feed, and like, you know, I'm fascinated. That's pretty interesting. What is that? Morton Downey, there you go. Well, Morton Downey was sort of like Jerry Springer, right? That's my understanding. It's like Morton Downey was like crazy, confrontational, people fighting and throwing furniture and shit. But kind of like before
I have a feeling they're right.
the Jerry Springer era. Listen to that. Do you hear that? Sounds nice. It's like some Chinese music down here. Doesn't Ashbery have a poem called Chinese Music? Running into Philip in Central Park, a poem by Matt Proctor. Yeah, so we're wrapping up here. My battery, when I get to 10%, I'm probably gonna call it a day. But we're revolutionizing late nights, the daytime talk show. This is my daytime talk show, everybody. This is my afternoon Oprah sit and chat, and we've just pondered over so many important things. Go back, watch from the beginning. We talked about baseball, the curse of the Indians. Somehow the Indians won a fucking playoff game in like extra innings. That never happens. They beat the Yankees. So maybe something has changed. Who knows? Maybe New York is not the impenetrable, dominating bullies of the major leagues that they, you know, have always been. Okay. What else do we need to talk about as we're wrapping up in this ongoing poetry lecture series? This is Mod Po. I'm Al Phil Reese. You're watching Al Phil Reese here. This week we're talking about Wallace Stevens. Joining me are Lainey Brown. These are poetry in jokes, okay? There's gonna be 5 people in the world that might understand this joke or think it's anything at all. Let me do more, but they're making Happy Gilmore too, everybody. You'll be happy to know. Can't wait. I wish I was in Happy Gilmore too. I'm gonna say it, okay? Something's wrong with my life. I need to get back. I need to get out there. Somebody help me get on backstage. Actors Access. Now you just audition online for everything. I saw this guy audition to play Paul McCartney in a fucking movie. It's like he literally filmed it like on his goddamn laptop camera. It's like that's what you do to audition for a fucking movie now? You do it in like your fucking, like just like you do everything. You're a late night show, you just do it from your living room. It's like, I'll do that. I'll self-tape. I'd love to self-tape. It's that easy. You just self-tape. You can do that from anywhere. And then they shoot it in fucking England or something because they got a tax rebate. That's what I don't get. It's like, is the tax rebate really that much? It's cheaper to go to Atlanta, Georgia. Or fucking some of these shows like shoot in Ireland and shit. Weed and politics. That's right. That's my brand. Pothead ranting about late America. The late empire. Writing poetry, living right in the face of the late empire. All my poetry I wrote in spite, okay? America did everything they could to destroy me as an artist. America did everything it could to employ me and enslave me, make me a waiter, make me a teacher. I don't even know. Well, you know what? It actually didn't. America didn't give me any opportunities at all. So all I did was try to stay out of having to fucking kill myself for a shitty job about something I don't give a fuck about at all. Like driving a tractor, like driving a John Deere tractor. So, you know, my whole life has been trying to counter in my own little way. I don't want to be a productive contributor to, you know, because it's like there's no ethical way to make money anymore. It doesn't seem. Everything's rigged. You know, these finance people, consultants, analysts, who knows what the fuck they do. They just find out new ways to rip people off, new assets to buy. I saw this interview with Al Pacino, Conan. Apparently Al Pacino and Conan are buds. But, look, Al Pacino, Conan, here's an example of somebody who's made the tradition fucking gracefully from this pretend late night thing into long form, online, in depth. Pacino was talking about when he would think about a character, Michael in The Godfather, whatever, he'd walk from 91st to the Village and back. Thinking about his character from 91st to the Village and back. It's like, that's pretty fucking far. I thought I was walking far. You know, I walked from 72nd, I walked from 72nd and 2nd Avenue. Now I'm on Central Park West and 81st, I think. So, you can walk for further than you think, I guess. Like Pacino. And I'm a walking evangelist. I mean, that's one of the great things about New York is that the walking is just interwoven into whatever the hell you want to do. You can just walk to the train pretty much from anywhere within the city limit that you're going to find yourself. Take that motherfucker anywhere, get out, start walking again. And then you just wind through all these different worlds, all these different sceneries. So you're getting exercise, you know, you're fucking powering your fucking, you know, there's something about walking, you start to think better. You might get unstuck from whatever, you know, it's like, it's a way of entering the flow state, kind of kickstarting that. We're made to walk. We're bipedal. We're nomadic. And so I think just like anatomically, we're built, walking is the way that we sort of keep our equilibrium. And I heard this thing about one of the reasons why wisdom teeth, we had to start removing wisdom teeth. There's something about food before industrialization. People had to chew more. They had to chew their food more. And then when they started to cook it or whatever, prepare it for industrialization. So people's jaws, I guess, have started to like recede. So there's less space in your jaw for the fucking wisdom teeth to grow in, because like people are not chewing. They're not like working out their jaw. And so when your teeth grow in, it's like there's nowhere for them to grow in. But, you know, there's tons of shit like that, that like, you know, or the way that we live has so vastly fucking changed in the last 200 years. And I mean, even the last few years, that like our bodies are like attenuated to this whole other fucking kind of struggle, and like, you know, 10,000 steps a day, right? It's like the prescribed fucking average you're supposed to take every day for like a healthy heart or whatever. And it's like, but we're in these lifestyles where it's like you fucking drive everywhere. You sit at work all day. You sit at watching TV. You know, New York is this old-fashioned fucking place where it's like there's a lot of walking just built into it if you want there to be. And so once again, it's a good place to fill the tank. You're coursing through all these stratum of class, of society, different people, different architectural styles, different densities, closeness. You're seeing urban design. You know, fucking Megalopolis is a movie about urban design. I heard somebody say it was like, okay, I'm done 10%, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Somebody said, and I get this, you know, there's definitely a part of Megalopolis that's like Atlas Shrugged, right? Like what's the Ayn Rand book? Is it The Fountainhead? Maybe it's The Fountainhead. The one that's like the guy's an architect. Is John Galt the architect? And so the idea is like, he's such a badass, he's such a genius, if they just let him build his fucking building, like the world would just like be amazing. But it's like the government, I don't even know. I've never read it. Maybe I should. Maybe I should read some Ayn Rand. I definitely think there's aspects you could see, you know, from like maybe the fucking Fountainhead movie with Gary Cooper. You know, like there's certain things about Megalopolis that are not necessarily but I wouldn't necessarily say that the politics of the movie, or like he suggests, you know, it's not like a version of Ayn Rand or something. I would say it's, you know, you could argue that there are things that it has related or in common, or, you know, there's visual aspects, or there's like certain issues that it's confronting. But I don't think Coppola is like an Ayn Rand bro. Okay, I will say that. All right, here we are at the Strand on the Upper West Side. So I'm going to check out the Strand here. I'm going to look at some books. I encourage everybody else to do the same. Go out and read, everybody. It's the sexiest thing you can do as a man, is read. It's the number one sexiest thing you can do. So here we are. I mean, to me, the Strand kind of went downhill. Now, they don't have dollar racks anymore. It's like It's like a $3 to $5 rack. So it's like I'm disqualified. I'm out. This fucking Sally Rooney book is everywhere, man. Stanley Tucci, What I Ate in 1 Year. Okay. Stanley Tucci of Sidewalks of New York, of course. So yeah, go out and read, everybody. Get off YouTube. The phone doesn't want you to read. The phone wants you to keep your screen time up and to keep you watching, to keep you using. That's what we're here for. We're here to keep you fucking hooked and entertained and just doing this, just staring at your phone. So, you know, your book doesn't keep any of that metadata. It doesn't keep your screen time. You don't know how the fuck long you've been reading. All right, well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk soon. I'll be back on next Tuesday. Give a hoot, read a book.